Today we are going to look at rounding numbers to the nearest 10, 100 and 1000. So firstly, why do we round numbers? Well, we round numbers to make the numbers simpler to work with, but it keeps the value of the number close to what it was originally. It does make our result less accurate, but it's quicker and easier to use numbers in this way. When rounding, our place value is very important. So firstly, you look at the place value column of the number that you are rounding. So if you are rounding to the nearest 10, for example, you find your tens column in the number. Then we have to look at the place value column after it. So if we were rounding to the nearest 10, we would need to look at our units. This would help us decide whether our number will stay the same or round up. And we use these following rules. If the number is 4 or less, it stays the same. If it is 5 or more, because 5 is halfway, we round up. Okay, so 4 or less stays the same, 5 or more round up. And we are going to use these rules in a few examples now. So here we are going to round to the nearest 10. So number 1, we have 72. Firstly, let's find our tens column. So remember, we have our units, then our tens. So our 7 is our tens column. So when rounding to the nearest 10, you can only have 2 possible answers. It is either going to stay the same, so it's going to stay as a 70, or it's going to round up, so it's going to go up to the next 10, which is 80. These are our only 2 possible answers for rounding 72. So we found our tens column and we have a 70. Remember, we then said we have to look at the column after it. This is where you use your rules. So in the column after it we have a 2. This is 4 or less, so the place value stays the same. So it stays as a 7, so it's a 70. So when we round 72 to the nearest 10, we get 70. But we don't want to write an equals for this, because 70 isn't equal to 72. So we write our equals as a squiggly equals. This means approximately equal to. Okay, so 72 is approximately equal to 70. Question 2 then, so we have 186, still rounding to the nearest 10. So find your tens column, so again units, tens, so my 8 is my tens column here. So we ignore the 6 for a minute, so our options are either 180 if it stays the same, or it's going to go up to the next 10, so the 8 would go up to 9, so 190. So they are our only 2 options when rounding. Our answer is either going to stay the same on 180 or round up to 190. So there's our tens column. We look at the units column, the column after it. It's a 6. 5 or more, you want to round up. So 6 is bigger than 5, so you round up to 190. So 186 is approximately equal to 190. Question 3, we got 8,395. So again, find that tens column because we're rounding to the nearest 10. So again, units, tens, my 9 is my tens column. So think of what your 2 options could be. It's either going to stay as this 90, so your answer is either going to stay as 8,390, or it's going to be 10 higher than it. So remember, 10 higher than 390 would be 8,400. That 9 has to go up. So think of it as 39. If you want, it would go up to a 40. So 840 and an extra 0 on the end, 8,400. So again, we found our tens column. Look at the place value column after it. It's a 5. So 5 or more, we round up. So we want the rounded up number. So 8,395 is approximately equal to 8,400. Okay, next few examples then. So round to the nearest 100. So number 1, we have 545. So the method stays exactly the same. We want to find our place value that's given in the questions. So we're rounding to the nearest 100, so we find our 100s column. So we've got units, tens, hundreds. So our 5 is our hundreds column. So this time we're working in hundreds, so it's either going to stay as a 500 or it's going to go up to the next 100. So after 500 it would be 600. They are your only two possible answers. Just like we did before, you're on your hundreds column, you only look at the place value column after it, which is your tens. You don't look at that units at all, only the tens. So you've got a 4 in your tens, 4 or less, it stays the same. So you want to keep it the same. So 545 is approximately equal to 500 when rounded to the nearest 100. Question 2. So we've got 9,205. So again, first of all, find your hundreds column. So units, tens, hundreds. Okay, so you've got a 2 in your hundreds column. So remember, it's either going to stay the same, so it's either going to stay as 9,200, or you're going to round up to the next 100. So not the 1,000 bit will stay the same. It was on 200, it could round up to 300. Have a look to see what it tells you to do. So you're on your hundreds, have a look at the column after it, it's a 0. Again, you ignore the one after that. You only look at the column after your hundreds, which is your tens, and it's a 0. 4 or less, because 0 is less than 4, it stays the same. So again, it's going to stay the same. So your answer will be 9,200. Finally, question 3. Again, find your hundreds column first, because we're rounding to the nearest 100. So units, tens, hundreds. This is my hundreds column. So you've got 100 in your column. So you've got 39,100. So if it stays the same, that's what it could be. Or it could go up 100. So again, the 100 could go up to 39,200. Look at the column after the hundreds. So you want to look into your tens. It's a 9, 5 or more, it rounds up. So your 100 is going to round up to 200. So it is approximately equal to 39,200. Final few examples then. So here we have round to the nearest 1,000. So again, think of our method. You find that place value column, you think about what your answers could be, and then you look at the column after it to choose whether it stays the same or rounds up. So we want to find our thousands. So in question 1, we've got units, tens, hundreds, thousands. So our 9 here is our thousands column. So our answer is either going to stay the same, so it's either going to stay as 9,000, or it's going to be 1,000 bigger. So it goes 9,000, 10,000. So our answer will either be 9,000 or it will be 10,000. Look at the column after the 1,000. So you're looking into this hundreds column here. Only the hundreds column you look at, not the tens or the units. And you have a 4. 4 or less, it stays the same. So because it's a 4, we're going to keep it the same. So it's approximately equal to 9,000. Question 2. So we have 87,654. So again, find your thousands column. So you've got units, tens, hundreds, thousands. So you've got 7,000 here. So it's either going to stay as 87,000, or it can round up. So instead of 7,000, you're going to go 88,000. They are your two possible answers. So your 7,000, you need to look into the column after it. So you need to look into the column where the 6 is, your hundreds. 6, 5 or more, you round up. So So 6 is bigger than that 5, so you want to round up to your 88,000. So 87,654 will round to 88,000. Final example then, question 3 on rounding to the nearest 1,000. So again, find your 1,000 column. So units, tens, hundreds, thousand, here it is. Okay, so you're either going to stay as that, so it's going to stay as 199,000, or it's going to round up. Well, what's 1,000 bigger than 199,000? Well, 1 bigger than 199 is 200. So 1,000 bigger is 200,000. So we've got either 199,000 or 200,000 as our answer. So again, look at the column after our 1,000, so into our hundreds column. It's a 9, so 5 or more, we round up. So it's going to be 200,000. So 199,955 is approximately equal to 200,000.